So there are massive rumors flying around that we're going back into a lockdown. Now, I don't know if that is true, but I'm going to share with you the facts, figures, numbers, logic of what I know is happening within our economic system. Do not take this as financial advice. Don't make any financial moves. It's just my opinion and my perception and my prediction. I'm going to share with you the facts, figures, numbers, logic of what is happening right now within our current economic system and the things that could happen based on historical patterns over year, and nothing new under the sun. So there is news that broke last night about 18 hours ago. Today is August 23rd, 2023, that in Virginia, somebody contracted the C word from traveling from Japan. But let's pull ourselves to a 30,000 foot overview and let's take a look. Let's first reference what Rosie Rios said. You need a shock to the system to change consumer behaviors in 2012. She was also told to reduce coin and cash usage in 2012. But she couldn't reduce coin and cash usage. One, why would she need to do that? Because of GDP growth. That is gross domestic product. So basically, when the economy is going well and there's money in the system, everything goes better, so GDP. So because GDP was going well, she was having trouble reducing coin and cash usage. And she said that they referenced that you need a shock to the system to change consumer behaviors. In 2012, there also was the FOMC that was created, which is a Future Oversight Committee to regulate non-bank financial institutions. And during that time, they also created the Bank Bailing Committee, which was interesting. So in 2006 to 2008, we had the Great Financial Collapse. BlackRock was tapped to balance out the markets. 2009, the BRICS countries were formed: Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, which is almost 40% of the world's population. And their narrative since 2009 has been to break away from the Western dominance of the financial system. Interesting, right? So in 2012, Obama's plan was created, the FOMC, the Bank Bailing Committee, which is really interesting. What are we experiencing right now? So were they preparing for this moment in time, and the shock to the system is to change consumer behaviors? You have to figure that out. So then we cruise along from 2012 to 2019. Now let's pause for just a moment. Larry Fink, the head of BlackRock, the largest asset manager in the world, has been tapped twice by the Federal Reserve to balance out the markets, is on the board of directors or the board of trustees for the World Economic Forum. I remember the World Economic Forum was created in 1971 when we detached from the gold standard. It's a group of people, very wealthy people, that meet in Davos every single year that make big decisions for our world and what's best for us, what they think is best for us. Remember, this is just unbiased lens, just sharing with you what's happening. So then in 2019, we're cruising along, money's flowing like water, low interest rates, system is booming. And all of a sudden in 2019, the World Economic Forum did a pandemic preparedness response drill. By March 2020, we're in a full-blown pandemic. The whole world gets shut down. I had a business that got shut down. I lost 78% of my revenue. It changed all my behaviors, moved me online. Key, shock to the system to changing consumer behaviors. It stopped the flow of money in cash, coins. There was a shortage of supply of coins, forced companies and banks to say they don't have cash or we're going cashless. Bank of America launched their first autonomized branch, and it changed consumer behaviors. So as we transitioned out of the pandemic and then into a brave new world of post-pandemic economy, post-pandemic work life, all of a sudden we went to 2022, and the very thing that they kept telling you was a fraud, they're starting to dabble in, which is cryptocurrency, blockchain technology. But at the same time, they freaked the public out. Stablecoin collapse, two big exchanges collapse. See, public? See? That's bad. Don't go into crypto. But on the back end of 2022, something magical started to happen behind the scenes that you didn't see because you were looking in the sky and looking in the ocean. The birds are preceding you, the fish are preceding you. So the back end of 2022, MicroStrategy, the largest Bitcoin holder in the world, increased their position dramatically in Bitcoin at the end of 2022. Then we went into Q1 2023, and MicroStrategy increased their position again. And BlackRock and Vanguard, two of the biggest asset managers in the world. Remember, Larry Fink is on the board of trustees for the World Economic Forum. The board of trustees' mission is to move the mission and purpose forward. BlackRock and Vanguard increased their position in MicroStrategy in Q1. And by the back end of Q1 2023, we started going to bank failures, with the second largest bank failure in US history. And interesting enough, one of the bank failures, JP Morgan, monopolized them and took over. Now, remember in 2012, I told you the FOMC was created, Future Oversight Committee to regulate non-bank financial institutions, and the bank bailing committees were created in 2012, and Rosie Rios was told to reduce coin and cash usage in 2012. So were they preparing for this moment in time in 2023? And then boom, everything flips. We went from cryptocurrencies of fraud to the largest asset managers in the world getting a Bitcoin ETF. We also launched FedNow services in July, which is really interesting. And the BRICS countries are meeting right now as we speak to bring in a central bank digital currency called BRICS Pay, which they're responsible for 40% of the global population. So we have FedNow services, BRICS Pay coming in. The BIS announced that they have global regulation recommendations. The G20 is going to be meeting in September, which they gave the recommendation to G20, and BIS, Bank of International Settlements, the banks of banks, said they'll have global recommendations for cryptocurrency on the back end of 2023. But pause for just a moment. Remember, Rosie Rios said you need a shock to the system to change consumer behaviors. Let's back up to the news that came out last night. So in Virginia, somebody from Japan, they're traveling from Japan, they found a C-word variant. And there's rumors that we may be locked down. That would change consumer behaviors. At the same time, they're warning out a central bank digital currency. So if you were going to roll out a central bank digital currency and you knew the public was against it, but we know when people are fearful and when they have emotions and they can't control their reactions and they're waiting for a savior, if they don't have any other choice to get their stimulus checks, maybe you could roll out a FedNow services and a central bank digital currency and get them assistance at the speed of light on their cell phone as they sit at home when they're locked down. I don't know, just thoughts. So instead of resisting the invisible enemy and fighting against this and protesting against shit that you can't control because you don't have the resources to, or maybe you do, what if you looked internal and battled the enemy inside of yourself? What if you started to look at the media and stop reacting and start acting like the change you want to see in the world? There's only 3 things you can control, and they know this. Your thoughts is what you think, your actions are what you do, and your emotions is how you react. So if you take control of your emotions on how you react to these things and you look at the origin of it and where it's taking us versus what's happening, and you start to control your thoughts, knowing in the beginning is the end, and you start to get disciplined and consistent with your fitness, your mindset, your budgeting, you could radically transform your family's life. But the fact is, 99% of you are not going to do it. That's why 1% of the population owns 97% of the wealth, and money's always going to end up in the same hands. Because it doesn't matter if they give $1 million to every single person in society, it's going to end up in the same bucket, because the reason why? Rich parents have rich kids, poor parents have poor kids. If you don't rewire the foundation, you're always going to end up in the same situation. So I promise you that I will be a billionaire, and it's not the money that you think of, because it's already here. I've already accepted it, it's already written, the resources have already been spent, and the ecosystem's already been built. Because in the beginning is the end. And time does not exist. You're moving through time through experiences and wisdom. Warriors, rise! Get your shit together. Love you guys. Remember, I will never proactively DM you. Those are all scammers. They're using AI technology to mimic my voice. F these people. Their souls are out of whack. I do have a licensed insurance team helping people if you're concerned about your retirement or you want to talk to somebody for free. I have an Index Universal Life team and insurance team where all licensed agents have licensed agents in 50 states, where you can have a free conversation if you're worried about your retirement or your 401k with these crazy capital markets coming out. That way you can take a deep breath. We can share with you how we're doing it, see if it'll work for you. I don't know if it'll work for it works for us. I don't know if it'll work for you. We also have our Warrior Academy, 7,000 like-minded individuals, not going against anybody, but getting our shit together. That's in my bio as well. Love you.